Assalamu alaikum, ladies, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, what we're going to do, inshallah, is have the topic deeply relevant to the season that is kicking in, which is winter. And it's something, a time period in many people's lives, especially for women, where you just start to feel really off and no one's really explaining what's going on, right? You're feeling that winter fatigue, you're getting that 3 p.m., maybe even 2 p.m. slump. You're noticing a surge in your cravings. You're noticing that your mood is feeling very off, just feeling completely different, even a lot more low, right? So today, what I'm going to show you, inshallah, is something quite powerful, something that you can start to switch up in your day to day. It doesn't require you to have willpower, doesn't require you to need more motivation. And we're going to look into your light environment, inshallah. And you're going to walk away from this session understanding exactly how this switch happens in winter, how the disruption happens in relation to your hormones, your energy, your metabolism, your mood, and what simple changes, not yet more supplements that you need to add, just simple changes that you can start to make that can transform the way you feel this winter, inshallah. So, for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. Really happy to have you join the session. And just here's a little bit about me. So my name's Faria. I'm a certified health, wellness, and nutrition coach with a special interest in quantum and circadian principles. And before we dive in, just a quick important disclaimer: the information provided to you today is for educational purposes only. It is not intended to diagnose or cure. If you have a serious medical concern, please reach out to a qualified practitioner. So, let me begin with something that hardly anyone is aware of, which is the fact that light is a nutrient, just like food, just like sleep, just like protein. Your body eats light. It uses the light that you are exposed to set your metabolism, to regulate your melatonin, to switch cortisol on and off, to control insulin sensitivity, to activate your thyroid hormones, right, into that active form, to strengthen mitochondrial energy production. So when winter comes in, right, and sunlight becomes shorter, lower, and weaker, your light nutrition takes a big hit. And if you think about it like this, if someone was to come and cut your food intake by 50%, right? Or if on a given day you said, okay, you know what, I'm going to cut how much I eat, you'd experience a drop in energy, right? So, what do you think happens when your sunlight intake is cut by 70, 80% even? Your body goes into biochemical confusion. And it's not to do with the season. The symptoms look exactly like what you complain about every winter. So you hear people saying, why is my energy so low? Why am I craving carbs at night? Like, what's going on? Why do I feel more anxious and overwhelmed? Why is my sleep so bad even though it's darker earlier? Why am I feeling so much more colder even indoors? Why am I so much more irritable? Now, This isn't anything to do with your personality. It's not because you're feeling lazy, right? This is circadian mismatch. Winter isn't the problem. Modern winter is the problem. Because Allah designed winter with shorter days and longer nights. There's a reason for this. And it's up to us to honor that. However, for the majority of people, what does winter look like? You have those blue LED lights everywhere. You stay indoors for 23 hours of the day. You're on your screens all the way through the night, up till midnight. There is already a weak amount of sunlight out there, but you don't even step into that. You have your heating on many hours of the day, which dries up the skin, dries up those mucosal membranes. There's a lack of fresh air. There's a lack of movement. So it's not winter that in itself that is dysfunctional. It's our relationship with it. And I know that this is probably something that no one really mentioned to us growing up. Hey, okay, you're going to have to switch something. It's like we're just on this cycle, just doing our thing. Right? Oh, okay. And yet, when you think about it, we switch our wardrobes, right? We pull out the coats and the thermals and those big thick socks. We do that, but we don't switch anything else. Now, I know for you ladies that are here, low energy is a big concern, but why does it feel worse in the winter? We're going to look at the 3 biggest energy disruptions that women feel, why they happen. So the first one, really important, is that your cortisol timing gets flipped. Now, that light in the morning is the natural switch on for cortisol. That is your daytime hormone. There was a study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology, and it showed that morning light exposure increases cortisol awakening response by up to 50%. Not only that, it stabilizes your mood for the entire day. But what happens in winter? When you wake up, it's still dark. So we switch on the internal lights. That little action gets our brain in some serious confusion. Okay? It thinks, is it noon? Is it sunrise? Is it still night? Okay, because remember, everything is just information to the body. So when you do that, what happens? Cortisol is released at the wrong time. Why is that a problem? Then you feel that morning grogginess. You get that afternoon crash. You find you are wide awake at night. You feel that sense of anxiety for no particular reason. So if you imagine that your home alarm system is going off at these random times, 3 a.m. in the morning, 11 p.m. in the evening, 2 p.m., just totally random. It's going to keep you confused. It's going to keep you in chaos. That's how the hormones are in the winter. The other reason, the second reason, is that melatonin tends to stay high in the morning. Okay, so this impacts our energy levels. How? Sunrise is late, it's weak. That level of melatonin in your body, which is the hormone of rest, it stays active for longer. That's why you might notice when you wake up, you feel a little bit more heavy. You find yourself a little bit more slow, a little bit more demotivated to do things. A lot of the time is because your hormones are still in night mode. And in the winter, they stay there for longer. There was a study that was done in Harvard University, and they showed that melatonin release can stay high for up to 4 hours longer in the winter, unless you go and get that natural light exposure. Right? Melatonin is like that teacher, that strict one that keeps saying, shh, everyone be quiet. It wants that quiet. And you're trying to get through your morning. The third reason why your energy levels are just so impaired during winter is because your internal firewood is weak. This is your mitochondria. They slow down. Your mitochondria are your energy factories, and they are light powered. So when sunlight decreases, mitochondria reduces its ATP production. That's the currency that your energy needs. Imagine that you're trying to cook on a stove with a really weak flame. Everything takes longer. It burns out quicker and you feel frustrated. That's what winter energy looks like. In 2017, a study showed that indoor winter living reduces mitochondrial efficiency, increases insulin resistance, and worsens the mood. Fixing your light can help you correct it, inshallah. So if you find that this happens to you every time winter kicks in, you're eating the same, but you're still gaining weight, that you're doing everything right, working out, right? You may be even doing some fasting or intermittent fasting, but your blood sugar feels unstable. It's not the food here. It's the light processing the food. Now, a big thing when it comes to winter that we cannot ignore and we have to talk about is artificial light, because it's huge during the winter, right? And I'm not telling you to go and live like a cave woman, right? Or keep your lights switched off all the time and just keep tripping over each other. But I want you to understand what's going on. Artificial lights at night is more harmful than junk food. Junk food you're going to eat occasionally. Artificial light you're eating every single day with your eyes. Now, that blue rich LED lights, those lights, they do three major things. One is that they suppress melatonin by 80%. This was in a study from the journal PNAS, and they found that evening LED exposure reduced melatonin by up to 80% and delayed sleep onset. You couldn't fall asleep by many hours. Okay, so what does that mean? People are getting those feelings of insomnia, right? You're waking up exhausted. You're finding that you crave sugar more. You're feeling more emotionally sensitive. You're overthinking. Your immune system gets suppressed. Right? A big thing happens as soon as winter kicks in. People think, oh, it's coughs and cold season, right? Everyone's going to get sick. But what is actually going on for your immune system to get suppressed that much? The second reason, the second thing that these blue light exposures put us through is that they increase insulin resistance. So that light that is in your living room right over your head every evening that you're exposed to can worsen your metabolism. A research that was done in the Diabetes and Metabolism Journal showed that when you eat under bright artificial light, it increases your insulin levels. It increases that glucose spike and it reduces how much fat you can oxidize. So it's not always a case of, okay, maybe I need to eat less. Maybe I need to cut my carbs more, right? It's not always that, because your light environment can seriously dysregulate your response to insulin. And the third reason why blue lights are not great is because they confuse your circadian clock. Your brain relies on its environment to interpret how it should respond in the body. That is how it gets its information. So if it's dark outside, but bright inside your house, your brain is getting a contradictory signal. It's confused, plain and simple. Now, that misalignment is going to affect your mood. It's going to affect your thyroid. It's going to affect the way that you metabolize food. It's going to affect your hunger hormones, your sleep, your PMS symptoms. So a lot of women, they do wonder, why does it feel so much harder in the winter? You know, you hear these things about seasonal SAD, right? People getting more seasonally upset, more seasonally um, emotionally, right? And they wonder why that happens. But you are almost forcing your hormones to work in a certain way, which is in total opposition to the season that it's in. So a lot of women do suffer in the winter season because it becomes a season of artificial brightness. It becomes a season of indoor suffocation. It becomes a season where we're so disconnected from that mercy and that blessing that Allah has put in it. It becomes a season of eating more, maybe relying on like caffeine and sugar just to get through the day. It becomes a season of emotional heaviness. And the worst part through all of that is that the women tend to blame themselves. Why am I just so lazy during the winter? Why can't I just snap out of this? Why am I failing? I'm trying so hard, I'm not seeing any results. It's not that you're failing, sis. It's just that your biology is so out of rhythm. Okay? And as we go through these sessions, right, ladies, you know that I always like to give you something practical that you can take out of this session, wake up tomorrow and start implementing, inshallah, because I don't want this just to be another session, another health talk that you come and listen to and not do anything with, right? The fruits of knowledge are going to always be in the actions that you take. That's how you're going to see results. So what actually helps us? What actually helps us get through this without needing more supplements, without, having this complicated routine? So the first one, a really simple step, get more daylight exposure. In the winter, yes, it might feel really uncomfortable at first. It's cold. It's so dreary out there. But it's even more reason and more need for your body to get out there because it needs that exposure, which it doesn't get inside. It's not the same from a window, even if it's cloudy, even if it's freezing. Because on that cloudy day, on some days, you might still have up to 100 times stronger light than you will indoors, even with the lights on. Okay, and that level of brightness is so important to the body. So try it. Get outside more in the winter. The second one is, don't skip breakfast. Even if you're really busy in the mornings and they're crazy, you've got to get the kids out or you've got to get to work, whatever it is that you need to do, don't skip breakfast. In the winter, your body is more insulin resistant, right? It needs a little bit more support in this way. and you're going to have your best times of digesting food, your best times of um, getting that best insulin response in the morning. So don't skip it, inshallah. And then finally, be mindful of those artificial lights that you are under in the evenings. Use one of the lighting options that I've shared in the group. Now, if you're coming back and listening to this as a recording and you're not here live and you want that list, you can DM me or comment the words blue light and I'll send it to you, inshallah. Winter isn't the season that we have to fear. It's just a season that we need to understand, because your body is just reacting to a mismatched light environment. If you've been feeling unlike yourself lately, then this is an invitation to reconnect to your natural environment. Your body wants to thrive this winter. You just have to give it the cues that it's been missing. So I hope that this episode today has brought you some clarity, some confidence to try something new, inshallah, and a deep sense of why you feel like this in the winter. May Allah bless you all for being here and bless you with good health and make your winters easy for you, inshallah. And just to show you, just within 3 sessions of this sister who has a very busy life, and her winters were, she said, the worst thing ever. Always eating sugar, always feeling low. After 3 sessions. So she's just literally implemented 2 or 3 steps at this point. And she said, this year, I haven't been affected by the time change at all. Compared to last, I felt and I suffered from SAD. I was low in mood. I ate more and I put on a stone in weight. I really didn't like winter at all. This year, I love being outside. My body has gotten used to standing in the cold, alhamdulillah. Right? Even to the point where she mentioned to me that she would have to always wrap herself up really warm, especially her chest. Now she doesn't feel the need to do that. She goes into work and she's in a very busy environment in her position, constantly on the go, has this year has been able to resist indulging in sugar that was in the staff room, and just feeling so much more better. Alhamdulillah. It doesn't mean that it's going to take you months, ladies. It can be just in a few weeks, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. So be proactive with your health, not reactive, inshallah. And jazakallah khairan for being here live. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.